Hi everybody, Sonia Rollins. Welcome back to BACC Talk. It is one of those moments where I was just saying to our guest, but also the president of the Burlington Area Chamber of Commerce, who's going to be our first guest back as we come back from a few months of, I'd love to say being on vacation, but it's been more of like a, I don't even know what to call it, Rick. It's been a challenging time for everybody in Burlington and everybody across really the world, right? So welcome back to BACC Talk.
Thank you, Sonia.
Practice saying that. I'm glad to have you here because you know, we have taken a bit of a break, of course, from this because we were not comfortable being in the studios. Of course, we didn't want to put guests in the studios. Certainly everybody from BCAT who does great work has been doing phenomenal work both remotely and via Zoom like everybody else has. But it's nice to be back in the studio, so it's nice to have you back with us.
Thank you, Sonia.
I just want to put everybody to ease that I do have my mask. We took it off to come in. We're 7 feet apart, even though you see us on both the same screen. And BCAT's doing a great job at keeping everybody safe, so thank you for that. But let's talk a little bit about what's been going on. I mean, I know everybody understands what's been going on globally and, of course, within each community. But let's talk about the Chamber. Let's talk about its membership. Folks, we thought we would bring this to you as honest and raw as we know how to. I mean, our goal is to kind of update you on what our membership has been doing, what the goals are coming forward, and this is such an overused term, but the new norm, right? The new norm that we're in. So Rick, tell us a little bit about, you know, what the membership has been doing or the struggles kind of, and I know that's a really large question, but you know, start with some of the obvious of how it's been difficult for them.
Well, thanks, Sonia. Thanks for having me in. First of all, when we say, you know, we're back, I just want everyone out there to know that we were never gone. In fact, we've probably put in more hours and worked harder during this period of time than ever. And it's really what an organization like ours is. Their charter is to help businesses and help that interrelationship with the community. So personally, I'm at the office every day, have been at the office every day. We do have an obligation to continue to sign off on certificates of origin for shipments that are going international, which is key to a lot of businesses in the area. So to have a physical presence there where someone can come, being physically distanced and passing things through the door to be signed off and notarizing some things, that's part of what's going on. Katie O'Connor, who is the director of this, she's been working remotely. She gets to see me every day via Zoom in the morning. We go over exactly what we're going to work on, and then we meet back at the end of the day and regroup. So her support's been phenomenal.
Yes.
The members have, like everyone's been impacted in a dramatic fashion. Those larger companies were able to shift to primarily a work at home, which through some stumbling blocks in the beginning, they've been able to do so at you know, some limited productivity. It's gotten better, but the impact of the small businesses, and particularly those in the hospitality and retail, has been devastating. Just like all of us, when the governor put in the stay-at-home order, people didn't know. They didn't know what to do. So most of our time in those first weeks were spent on Zoom call after Zoom call with local, state, and federal agencies to try to figure out what was going to be allowed, how we're going to be able to do that, and to get some financial relief to those members that were devastated.
Devastated. I mean, I think that's exactly the perfect word. I mean, when you get word that everybody has to stay at home and your business relies on people going out, that's a devastating piece of news. You know, I don't even know how you know, how to describe to people, and everybody's been affected by this, but that concept of not having people come in has been a challenge for people like the mall and retailers and restaurants. I mean, talk about the restaurant industry for a bit, Rick. I mean, they did a full turnover, and the Chamber deserves a lot of credit on helping them, you know, try to put the word out, even to those who weren't our members at the time. You helped. But I hope they remember that at this point, right? But I do really want to talk about that restaurant group and what the Chamber did to kind of tie that in, because people who never did takeout had to turn to takeout. So what did that look like for some of these companies or for some of these restaurants?
Well, first of all, there was the logistics of a lot of these restaurants really weren't in that you know, takeout and or delivery business, but what you'll find is people in the hospitality industry are very resilient. They're, you know, they're people, and they need to be working. So what we were able to do is help them out in getting the word out. Hey, you might not think of a place like Londano or Capitol Grill or Eddie V's as a takeout place, but they're available, they're there, they're working towards it. They worked very hard to put together specific takeout menus that would be, you know, be able to be transported and be something you'd want to eat. But if you remember back at when it first started, the only place that you could get food was going to be the supermarket, and people were trying to stay socially distanced. So it was incredibly important that those restaurants helped us out to keep the pressure off of the supermarkets and to give people an alternate source. And through your efforts and people out in the community sharing the Facebook posts, letting people know that, hey, I've been there. It was really great food. You know, you wouldn't think of some of these places takeout. But the cooperation between the community, the chamber, and our members, I'm really proud of that.
Yeah, it is something to be proud of, because it was like the blind leading the blind a little bit to a certain degree. You know, I mean, nobody had been, it was uncharted territories. I'll quote Eric Conti once on what he said when he was talking to somebody about it, and he said, we've never done pandemic before. I mean, it's the truth, you know, like, how do you know what to do when you've never done that before? And I think everybody kind of steps up to the plate. You know, what do you think about some of the larger commercial developers in the town, you know, how this affects them, what they're looking at, Rick, as far as, you know, all of these people are working from home now, you know, I'm sure there's a little bit of a nervousness there, but government affairs at the chamber continues to meet, you know, so.
Yeah, I think some of the larger, you know, property holders and management companies are fortunate in one respect that most of their tenants, in fact, I haven't heard of any, they are continuing to pay their bills. These high-tech companies continue to be able to operate and move forward and bring in revenue. So they're paying their rents, which is a great thing. Unfortunately, and you know this all too well, here in Burlington, we depend on that daytime population of those employees coming in, spending their money here, which really filters down to restaurants, hospitality, you know, the hotels, but the small businesses too. And one thing I'd like to say about the small business owners, and you know this personally, we're able to deal with things as they come, you know, whether it be, you know, a new regulation or, you know, the ebb and flow of the economy. But you throw a pandemic in there where the rules of engagement don't exist. You know, small business has been challenged greatly in the past couple of years with competition from online sources. But you throw a pandemic in there, and it really you know, throws the apple cart upside down. And so the initial shock, you know, where am I going to get the money to pay my employees? Where am I going to get the money to pay rent? Was really tough in the beginning until we found, you know, through the CARES Act and the Paycheck Protection Program, the emergency injury disaster loans, things that got people over that hump and started to get just that sense of panic to pass, and then try to go about and pick up the pieces and move forward.
Yeah, it gave everybody a chance to take a deep breath in, you know, because everyone was paralyzed, and it gave everyone that moment to just kind of take a deep breath in and figure out what we need to do. Because business as usual is no longer business as usual. And I don't see that coming back anytime in the near future. You know, I think people, I said when I came in here, we're used to grabbing our things and leaving for work, and now it's like my phone, my pocketbook, my mask, you know, or how we're gonna, for me, show a property, for example, or for a restaurant who's never done takeout, how they're gonna deal with takeout. And now they're dealing with the outside dining, which many of these places did not have outside dining before, you know, so all of this has been a lot of change for people, and that part has been very trying, you know. I don't know that we see an end, Rick, right? So we have to kind of twist through until we get to the other side, and not everybody has jobs that were readily able to be done from their house.
Right, and I think, you know, we talk a lot about the restaurants and retail because they're the most visible.
Right.
You know, if you drove around town 6 months ago, stark difference from what you're seeing today. And the perception, you know, it's certainly a personal choice when people decide, am I going to go out to do outdoor dining? Do I dare to go indoor dining? It really is a personal choice. But I can say, being on the back side of it and seeing what these restaurants are doing, you know, adhering with all the guidelines, the sanitation, the employee training, the businesses are doing their part. And as I say all the time, we are all in this together. We need the consumers and the residents, all of us, to go and really pull our weight in it. When you show up at a restaurant, you have your mask on. You're allowed to take it off at the table, but if you have to go to the restroom, you put it back on, because there's always that chance someone's driving by and may see someone without a mask and they won't feel comfortable. And we've really got to try to do the best we can as a collaborative effort to move forward.
Yeah, because consumer confidence is key for all of these people. And you're right, it's only going to take one person driving by and thinking that it doesn't look safe enough for them to tell 3 friends, who then put it on Facebook, and then God knows what happens when things go on Facebook. So that part we do not want to do. All right, so we've talked about the businesses and how they've been surviving. I think our real goal, or my real goal, is to start to try to educate people on how the chamber survives, because we always talk about this and people always say, well, how's the chamber do? What's the chamber going to do for blah blah blah, whatever that blah 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 may be, right? That's a technical term, by the way. Blah blah blah. Okay, so how's the chamber going to survive? And I've been involved with the chamber for years. You've obviously been doing this for years, once as a board member, small business owner, and now of course as the president. And I think the misconception a lot of times is the chamber is funded by the municipality, that the municipality or some sort of a government entity oversees the Chamber of Commerce and funds that. And that is not the case. So.
Yeah, I think, before I was involved with the chamber, I felt the same way.
Yeah.
Chamber of Commerce, it's got to be something that's funded, either through state or federal or municipal levels. Our funding is 100% through events, which, as you see now, you're not having events, and membership dues.
Yeah.
Both of those are very difficult to come by these days. And to be honest, we have been so focused on our members and on what's right for the business community that we've been, a little reticent in looking at where we're going. And we are heading, towards that cliff. We have the same responsibilities to make payroll and pay rents and insurances. We're in a difficult period ourselves, and we're focused now, and I think you're going to be hearing about it soon. We're going to be relying on our members in the community and those businesses that maybe didn't see the value of a chamber. As you mentioned earlier, when this first came about, we put all of the restaurants and takeout facilities and retail, whether they were members or not, on our website. And we became the central source of information for what's open, what's not open, who's delivering, who has indoor dining, outdoor dining. And I was asked, why did you do that? And truth be told, the chamber realizes it was the right thing to do.
Right.
When people need you, you have to be there. And it's quickly coming to that point where the chamber is going to need people from the business community and the residential community to really see the value in the chamber and step up and try to help support us going forward.
Yeah, I think that it is such a trying thing to try to explain to people, because people do see it as, our events have always been things that have been of high caliber, we'll call them. This is where we like to pat ourselves on the back. You go ahead too, Rick. And but they've been things that we've been proud to present and do. But there's a lot of work that goes into them, and the funding mechanism, as I always say, they're great, they're fun, they're fantastic. But I think what people maybe who aren't involved in the day-to-day don't understand is we love doing them for you. We love doing them for you, but we're doing them because it's a funding mechanism so that we can continue to do work for our members, delivering messages on behalf of the members to the community, helping the charitable organizations with things like the black tie. All of that thing is to deliver the greater good, to kind of keep moving business and good public service forward. And we will not really be able to do that if the funding mechanism starts to dry. The funding mechanism, folks, is drying. Let's go there. And as we've been telling other people all along through these few months, it's almost 6 months. Isn't that unreal that we've been going through this? But while we've been going through these 6 months, we've been saying we got to do business a little bit differently. We have to step outside the box and understand that it's not the same anymore. And I think now what we have to be telling people is the chamber's going to be looking a little different to you, but the value is exactly still the same, if not more. Really.
Yeah, I think we've certainly gone the same virtual world.
Yes.
Most of our meetings, and we have an event list full of webinars to try to inform people from some of the best sources in the area of what does marketing look like, now that you can't see your customer face to face. What are the regulatory issues? What do you need to be doing with your employee handbook? These might seem like minor issues to people in the outside world, but the truth be told, these are the next steps to get businesses to that next, through the next phase. We certainly don't have any answers on exactly when this will all turn, back to the new normal without a vaccine, but we've got to be patient for that vaccine, and we cannot continue we can't just stop doing business. So we're going to be looking for businesses that have not been in the chamber in the past, that have seen what's been going on, that may have some wherewithal to help support the organization, but also the community. You and I are both residents here. We've been very fortunate through some of the work of the chamber to support some of the local, the charitable sources that are doing, yeoman's work behind the scenes, and some of them weren't very well known before they got involved with the chamber. And I think through our efforts, we've made some of those connections between some very philanthropic organizations that have been able to see the work of these people. Certainly the Herb Chambers Companies comes to mind, always steps up in whatever they're asked to do, and they understand. I'd like to see some other businesses in town that maybe haven't been involved so much in the community to realize that when you come here, you're much more than a tenant. You do become part of the community, and the businesses have been phenomenal with that. So just spreading that word, because this is quickly going to come to a head.
Quickly going to come to a head.
Yeah, we've got a short window to start getting the word out, and for those that have benefited from the work of the chamber and our committees, and yourself involved, with the events and helping really do what's right for the community. We're just asking people, if you've received a benefit, from the chamber and its works, please don't turn a blind eye and tell somebody about the work that we've been doing.
Yeah, I mean, let's talk about charities for a minute, because again, people see that the chamber is something that is a business organization, an organization that helps support its members, promotes things that the business community is doing, but there is a whole charitable side of it, and that's the residential base picks up inadvertently, I guess. They don't really know where it's coming from initially, but either you're helping to fund charitable organizations that are then helping the residential base. WomanAid comes to mind. WomanAid has been doing some really beautiful things, and the chamber wrapped their arms around them. Skate for the 22 and that group who's been helping, with veteran suicide. We could go on, right? And every aspect of every charity has been touched by the Chamber of Commerce, which means it's been touched by multiple businesses that have contributed into there. Herb Chambers is a great example of that. Remember Bronstein with their scholarships, every year giving out scholarships. And we talked about this the other day, even in the tightest times of this pandemic, the all-night party committee was still working hard to try to put something together for the graduating seniors who, let's be honest, got a bum rap this year, right? So the chamber got together, and normally, for those who are watching who don't understand this, the all-night party is for Burlington High's seniors, the night of graduation. For multiple years now, they have them overnight so that everybody is safe and having a good time with their class. Of course, that part of it couldn't be done, but the all-night party still wanted to do what they needed to do. And what I was in awe at was normally the chamber funds this through their membership. So we put out a note, and 10 or so members step up to the plate and help us. And we were struggling to think if it was even the right time to ask, but felt that, in interest of high school seniors, we were going to give it a run. And to our amazement, 10 organizations stepped up and funded these T-shirts. So whether or not the kids get the party at the end of the year, they are certainly going to have their T-shirt with one of their students drawing on the front. And as minuscule as it seems, it's a moment of pride.
Yeah, it's really not minuscule, because if you look at the relationship that the chamber and the business community has with the school systems, we start with this graduating class early on when they're freshmen and sophomores, having career day. And I know that you've been involved with that as well, where businesses, and it started out, I think there were 7 of us the first year.
Right.
There were 75 last year that give away their time to tell kids, what are the educational requirements, the salary expectations, what you really can expect when you go into a certain career. So we start the relationship there, and then through our scholarships that we give them. And then the parting gift is really the T-shirts. And we've had some relationships with students that have gone on to be interns. Our goal here is we've got some great educational institutions in this state. We'd love to have these kids who grew up in this town, go to school locally, stay locally, work in one of these businesses locally, and really have that same pride of being in Burlington that you and I have,
right.
And to continue this going forward. So I think the Chamber's connection with the students, you said that the T-shirts weren't really a big deal. It's a huge deal.
Yeah.
It really is the thank you for the time that we were able to spend with you, and the students really appreciate it. And
I think so. And I think their parents appreciate it.
Absolutely.
I mean, I think you and I have had graduating seniors. I mean, it's just that rite of passage. And we say they got a bum rap. Their parents got a bum rap too. These are the moments you wait for, to be like, I made it through high school. Oh, I mean, my child made it through high school, and we're going through, So I think that kind of stuff makes so much of a difference. And I don't know that the average bear understands that there's a link to a chamber and to the businesses, and that in all of these times, and I think I've put this on Facebook more than once, but I'll say it now here, in all those times that we've turned and looked at a business or at the chamber and said, hey, can you help out my charity of choice, or can you help out the kids who are raising money for X, Y, and Z? Now's that moment where we're going to start turning the tables a little bit and saying, it's time to help. Businesses by supporting them, keeping consumer confidence up, going to restaurants and trusting that the employees there are doing the right thing, remembering that while online services are fantastic and saved us through a lot of this time, it is important to remember those that are local and to shop local. And then, the piece on top that we really have not done enough of, that now we're forced to. The chamber has always been a silent force that kind of pushes everybody along in the back, and we feel great that it's happening, but now it's time to kind of put ourselves out to the forefront a little bit and say, but not for some of the things that we do. Some of these things may have fallen by the wayside. That's not like a self-promotion philosophy. That's like a, wow, we need your help philosophy. And that's a new place for us, right, Rick?
Yeah, you right. know all too well that it's not one that I aspire to be. We're the silent one behind the scenes.
Yeah.
We've both been small business owners. We know that it can be a very difficult thing without some assistance to be helping you behind the scenes, understanding not only to be able to deal with the problem that you have, but to head off some of those problems that you don't have them. When you come into this town, you really need to know, different things that are not peculiar, but specific to Burlington. I mean, certainly signage has always been an issue with companies coming here. They may have a business a couple of towns away, and the regulations here are different. Understanding that and gauging expectations and really being able to work them through that process. But the connection to community is so important. I think a lot of people, and I talk with a lot of people in town, they think this stuff happens by itself. The businesses just come here by themselves. I will assure you it doesn't happen that way. And we've been very fortunate that our children have worked in the businesses here. Most first jobs happen within your own town. And Burlington has provided a lot of opportunities for employment for our kids.
Yeah.
And it really gets that connection to the community, because most of these businesses also do some charitable work, whether it be working at the community garden or helping clean streams, things like that. It starts that giving back to the community. So we're able to guide the kids through the business community and reinforce some of those things that they learn at home, and then they go to work and find out, wow, I still have to be nice to people out here. It's really a great community, and it takes a lot of work to make it all happen. It absolutely does not happen by itself. So the next going forward, what does Burlington look like in 2 years? Do businesses need all the space that they have now? And I think the answer we're going to see there is no, they don't. So there'll be some downsizing from some businesses, which is a great opportunity for some smaller businesses to probably come into Burlington, where before they may have not been an opportunity, or they might have been priced out. And so we're looking forward to the opportunity of the next step once that vaccine comes through, and to look at what Burlington's going to look like in the future. And it's going to be tough getting there, but I do see a huge upside.
I agree with you. I think this has had its downsides and its upsides. And the downsides were so in your face that we have to look beyond it to see that there will be an upside to this at some point. And I think Burlington as a community, the diversification of what we have in the businesses and in the residential base, really. I mean, all of that everybody has to take a leap of faith and kind of push through. So we're down to the last few minutes. So if you were to give somebody a final message on the chamber, what would it be?
I would say take a look at the good things that have happened in this town. And it's always been a collaborative effort between the business community and the town and its residents. The chamber has never asked for anything. And if it's going to go forward, it's going to really have to be a collaboration on businesses that have not been involved before, some additional involvement from those that have been involved, but the residential community understanding the value of what the chamber does and what it brings to the community.
Yeah, that's a perfect way to kind of segue that out, because I think, folks, if I can deliver any sort of message to you today, I would encourage you, if you are not familiar with the BACC, to go onto the website and take a look at some of the things that are going on. And so it's baccma.org. Yes?
Correct.
As I was saying it, I'm like, God, I hope I'm right. It's baccma.org. You will get onto the Chamber's website. You will see all the great members that are there. We can't survive without those members and the dues and the sponsorships that they pay, but we also can't survive without the residents kind of knowing that value, and now is the time for us to kind of see it all come together. They are going to start seeing a lot more different things coming out from us, so that we can start to promote that. But I think our goal is to kind of just spread out. Spread the wealth isn't really right, because we're not feeling a lot of wealth sometimes in some spots, but to just spread out that confidence that that none of us will make it through this without the others' help. I mean, the teamwork philosophy has always been what the Chamber has promoted, and I think we're going to continue to promote something like that coming into the future. Did I miss anything on that?
No, I think, thank you for mentioning the website, but it's really the social media feeds right now are much more active. So if you're not following the Chamber's Facebook page, please follow the page. There's a lot of good community information, but also some of the smaller businesses that are coming in and need your help. And if you're going to support business, please support local business. A larger percentage of your money stays here in town, and as residents, we really rely on that the commercial tax base to help offset the residential costs. So
yeah, and eat 4 times a day. That would be really great. 4 times a day, go eat something out, because it really does. I mean, between the taxes we get from the meal tax and supporting the local business, it's a win-win. Rick Parker, President, Burlington Area Chamber of Commerce. Thank you for joining us.
Sonia, thank you for having me.
Yeah, we are thrilled to be back. BACC Talk will be back to you again. We're going to get back out on the road and visit some of our restaurants soon. Thank you all for joining us. For BACC Talk, I'm Sonia Rollins.